The music industry as a whole, from day one to the end of time, has been nothing but exploitation.
Yeah.
You really couldn't say anything much better about any other label than you can say about, you know, the various Jamaican labels. The truth is that the industry is set up for those who have money or lawyers or both to exploit artists, color, younger, lesser privileged, etc., to take from their talents, to give them as little as possible, to not explain to them exactly how they're being paid, why they're being paid, when they're being paid, what those fees are that are being deducted, or anything else. And then to make as many people in suits, usually lawyers, rich, while the artists get by, unless they happen to be one of the top 20 artists in the world, in which case they can be rich. It's not really a great model. It never has been. And as an intellectual property attorney, there are moments when I listen to Bob and I'm unable to tap into the unconditional love that Ross Sajafu has so aptly urged in person and online. I'm frequently reminded of that scene in Do the Right Thing, my favorite movie, and the most important movie, really, I think, in which Radio Raheem struggles with the left and the right hand. And when I think about the music industry, I find myself trying to focus on the love, and when it hits, you feel no pain, but sometimes I feel a certain amount of hate. And I think it's time for things to change.
That's real.
There are almost no good ideas left among the major labels. If you know the history of this music industry, it is unmitigated failure across the board for the last 20 years. They were presented with an opportunity in the 90s to negotiate with Napster and set up iTunes themselves. Instead, they thought, well, let's sue Napster as long as we can. Let's sue everybody who does anything online as long as we can. Now, who made that decision? It was lawyers, the recording industry of America. Now, I won't go into the whole rant about what it is to be a self-loathing attorney and reggae lover. But if you really tap into the music industry, the people who have done it the most disservice are almost all lawyers. There are some pretty wonderful producers out there who we all know, but really, you know, if you're going to choose one group, it's the lawyers. I think there's a way to change this, to start to change this. Trenchtown Rock is a very important song. Most of Bob's songs are very important songs, let's face it. There's a Ninth Circuit decision that came out in September last year called Rock River Communications versus Universal Music Group. It's a case worth studying if you are a producer or an artist. In that case, a small label, Rock River, sought to do a sampling remix album around some early Bob songs, including Trenchtown Rock, Light It Up Yourself, and a bunch of others that were recorded as, let's face it, most of the things that weren't recorded by Beverly or maybe Leslie Kahn under pretty shady circumstances. And at least not a whole lot of paperwork. Universal Music, in its well-lawyered up way, went hard at Rock River and tried to stop them from releasing this album, and they argued to the Ninth Circuit that it would be impossible for this poor little label to lose profits on the album they had wanted to do because it would have been illegal for Rock River to use these tracks because Universal Music passed on from whoever, one of those labels that we all know, owned those and hadn't given them the rights. The Ninth Circuit, which is the most important entertainment circuit, the Supreme Court does not care about Hollywood or the music industry except in the rarest cases. So the Ninth Circuit is almost the last word. The Ninth Circuit turned around to Universal and said, hold on a minute, Universal, do you have the right to use those? Can you show chain of title to those tracks? Study that case. I believe, and there are plenty of other people who have worked at these labels who know, that that same story could be told over and over again about a lot of tracks that were recorded, let's say, before and or around the time that things got a little hot in the 70s. That's one thing. Another thing is that there are a lot of lawyers out there, lawyers, paralegals, other folks who also love reggae music, who love Jamaica, who want nothing but the best for this island that has given so much. I mean, if you really thought about per capita, what country has contributed the most to the happiness quotient of the world, I don't think it's close. I mean, no disrespect, every country is spectacular, but really, you know, how much music have you got out there? I mean, New Orleans maybe per capita has. That'd be the only other place. There are quite a number of folks who would like to help change this. And we intend in the US, in Jamaica, in the UK, in France, in Germany, to continue conversations with some of these labels, to bring to the labels specific claims by specific artists. Essentially, I believe the Venn diagram would be, if you've ever recorded for any of these labels, you almost certainly, there's nothing, that's not an omen. If you have ever recorded with one of these labels, you almost certainly have a claim against them. And you may have already pursued them too. We are going to gather together all these claims in a nice lawyerly way, and then we're going to present them as much en masse as possible. And we hope, with the help of a lot of friends, hopefully including CPR we've reached out to get somebody to cut a deal, a nice deal where they try to pretend that they actually care about their artists and they do something forward-looking. Some amount of money is finally paid to the artists and their families for the royalties that have been mistakenly failed to be paid because they were unable to determine which family member controls the estate.